Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. More controversy has engulfed the Duke of York following allegations contained in a new book about his life entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York by Andrew Lowney. Claims Prince Andrew was involved in what witnesses described as a Thai orgy, with more than 40 women said to have attended. According to one account, often as soon as one left, another would arrive. Thai staff were reportedly shocked at what they called the industrial scale of the encounters. Another source told Lowney this was not some casual affair or isolated lapse. It was an organized stream of women brought in while he was overseas on official business, funded by the taxpayer. It underlines both the depth of his entitlement and how far he exploited his position. In his book, the author writes, "The Thai orgy story, combined with the renewed pressure of the Epstein scandal, means there is no conceivable way back for Andrew as a working royal. These details make clear just how reckless he was with his position, and the institution cannot risk further damage by reinstating him." Elsewhere, a further source suggested that the Duke sees no end to the fallout from his connections to Jeffrey Epstein, saying, "Andrew feels the Epstein scandal is just endless for him, and it is. It will haunt him until he draws his last breath." Meanwhile, in the New York Post, Kirsten Fleming asks, if an exalted girl boss who is best friends with Meghan Markle and Lauren Sanchez admits dropping racial and gay slurs in years past, does it make a sound? It would seem not. Fleming explains, on Friday night, an investigation into the behavior of billionaire Bumble founder Whitney Wolfe Herd, who began her career at Tinder before suing the dating app and its parent company in 2014 for sexual harassment, was published by the Daily Mail. The parties settled out of court. And in the piece, she admitted to using the N-word and other slurs, but forgive her, Lord, she blamed it on her colleagues, saying she was simply keeping up with the fellas in the male-centric tech company. Surely her friend's admission would spur Markle, who built her entire identity on fighting against racism, to speak out against such dangerous language. The Robert F. Kennedy Foundation even gave her and her husband, Prince Harry, the Ripple of Hope Award for championing racial justice. After all, Markle ran to Oprah in 2021 to cry about the racism she allegedly endured at the hands of the royal family. She accused an unnamed member of having concerns and conversations about how dark Archie's skin might be. She and Prince Harry said racism was a large part of their reason for fleeing the UK, and he blathered on about unconscious bias. But why the crickets from Markle? Back in April, she only had effusive praise for her pal, who was the inaugural guest on her podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. The two fawned over each other, and Markle described her as kind of a friend who just always seemed to know the exact right thing to say when I need perspective. On that episode, Wolfe Herd said she was initially driven to create a female-forward platform, which would eventually become Bumble to encourage kindness among women. Fleming reminds us that Meghan has transitioned from fighting racism to more important callings, spreading joy, making jam, and being a support beam of the female empowerment complex while making lots of cash. Meanwhile, in The Telegraph, Marianka Swain warns Meghan should be scared of her former best friend. With speculation that Jessica Mulroney is writing a tell-all book, Swain points out, as Meghan's closest friend and confidant through the most dramatic years of her life, Mulroney would certainly have revealing details to share, perhaps about the early days of Meghan and Prince Harry's courtship and whether it's really true, as Meghan has insisted that she never looked up Harry online before their first date. She would also have been privy to the couple's thinking ahead of their shock departure from the royal family and could reveal whether Meghan guided that decision, not to mention private details about Meghan's fraught relationship with her father. Mulroney might even fill in the tantalizing gaps left by the Sussex's famous Oprah interview, including which member of the royal family allegedly asked how dark Archie's skin color would be. When asked about the royal wedding in 2019 by Harper's Bazaar, she said, "Listen, every person has to have a bit of privacy in their life. There are certain things I hold very dear and secret. There are things I'll never talk about for sure. My life is an open book, but there's always a few secret pages in the back that nobody will be able to read." Meghan is no doubt hoping those words still apply. A spokesperson for Harry and Meghan has dismissed speculation that Prince Archie might be following family tradition by enrolling at Eton College. Reports suggesting the 6-year-old could attend the prestigious boarding school where both Prince William and Prince Harry were educated surfaced shortly after it was claimed Prince George is likely to take up a place there. But a representative for Harry and Meghan told E! I can confirm that Prince Harry has not put Archie's name down for Eton and that the Duke has no plans to send his son to Eton. More Palace in just a moment. Queen Mary of Denmark has been pictured at a lavish birthday celebration for her longtime friend Caroline Fleming, despite past warnings to distance herself from the socialite. Photographs from the 50th birthday party, which carried an out-of-Africa theme, showed the Queen in the background of images shared on Instagram by Danish businessman Christian Stadel. The event was private and did not appear on official palace schedules. Caroline Fleming, the ex-wife of Rory Fleming, nephew of James Bond creator Ian Fleming, hosted a guest list filled with Danish high society figures, celebrities, and business leaders. Mary's friendship with Caroline dates back to the early 2000s when she first moved to Denmark after meeting Crown Prince Frederik. The Queen is godmother to Caroline's daughter Josephine. However, as Crown Princess Mary was previously advised to be cautious about the association due to Caroline's party lifestyle and provocative social media presence, palace insiders had suggested that such friendships could undermine her image as a future queen. King Charles and Queen Camilla will travel to Vatican City in October for a 2-day state visit to meet the new Pope, Leo XIV. The trip will mark Charles' first meeting with the pontiff, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost, who became Pope in May following the death of Francis at age 88. The visit had originally been planned for April, but was scaled back due to Pope Francis's declining health. At that time, Charles and Camilla spent only a few days in Italy and received a short private audience with Francis, which happened to coincide with their 20th wedding anniversary, just days before his death. Now the King and Queen's itinerary will be focused on the Vatican, though it will be a relatively brief stop compared to the longer foreign tours traditionally scheduled in the spring or autumn. We'll have coverage both here and on our sister podcast, White Smoke, which covers the papacy. Charles made a heartfelt stop in Surrey to meet Ethel Caterham, the world's oldest living person at 116 and the last surviving subject of Edward VII. Living at Hallmark Lakeview Care Home in Lightwater, Mrs. Caterham delighted the monarch with memories of his youth, recalling his 1969 investiture at Caernarfon Castle and telling him all the girls were in love with you and wanted to marry you. Charles, laughing, responded with good humor and a playful grimace. Born in 1909, just 3 years before the Titanic sank, Mrs. Caterham has lived through the Russian Revolution, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and the COVID-19 pandemic. She spent time working as an au pair in India as a young woman, later marrying her husband Norman in 1931 and raising 2 daughters while living in Gibraltar and Hong Kong during his army service. For decades, she has called Surrey home, only giving up driving at the age of 97. During the visit, Caterham also reminisced about attending a Buckingham Palace garden party in the 1960s, while her granddaughters teased that she had often described Charles as so handsome in his youth. The king warmly held her hand and chuckled at the praise, remarking, "Yes, well, all that's left of him anyway." Surrounded by her 3 granddaughters and 5 great-grandchildren, Caterham's meeting with the monarch was another extraordinary moment in a life that has already spanned more than a century of history. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice, and leave us a nice review if you're enjoying the show. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.